Can you imagine waking up to the news that Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un have kidnapped Donald Trump and Melania Trump in the dead of night, and now the president is awaiting trial in that country, charged with whatever they decided to charge him with? Like, what would be your reaction to that? Let's be honest, I think a lot of you would be extremely frightened. I know I would. That someone were able to infiltrate your country, extract your president and his wife, the first lady, and leave. Now, before I get started, let me be very clear before someone attempts to twist my words. This episode is not about defending Nicolás Maduro. This is not what this is about. This is about something much scarier than that. And this is about something that I think countries all over the world need to be fearful of. Because the moment a powerful country kidnaps a sitting president, well, the global rules stop being rules and they start being suggestions. And once that happens, no one is safe. Not even the people or the countries cheering this on. We're going to talk about the kidnapping, the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. I've got a lot to say, so let's go.
Love me or hate me, God knows you made it. Winning ladies' eyes on me.
No matter where you stand politically, you have to know that this is wrong. The rules are in place for a reason. And you don't get to just break the rules because you have military might and because you have money, you have power. You don't get to just do that. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the This Baby Gal podcast. My name is Rogan. On my platform, I do social commentary and reaction videos. I encourage my audience to have private conversations in public. So we're told that this is about justice, and this is about accountability, and this is about taking down a dictator. But how you pursue that justice is just as important as who you're pursuing. Because once you get into this place where power replaces the law, then the law doesn't exist. It just becomes whatever that powerful country or person says it is. Because after World War II, and yes, we're going there, the world agreed on one core rule, and it's this: that countries don't get to invade each other just because they want to. And it's not because it's the polite thing to do, like we just don't invade your country. No, it's because they know that without those rules, things are going to escalate in the worst way. That core rule right there is why borders exist, why diplomacy still happens, and why we don't automatically have global wars. So let's talk a little bit about why this is so dangerous. I don't know where you all were. I woke up and I opened up my phone like I usually do, went to CNN, and I just was like, what the hell? Went across other news stations and I just was in shock and fear. I don't know how you all felt about it. And I'm looking at this picture of Maduro sitting here, I think on the plane with his eyes, with the not blindfolded, but like so he couldn't see the glasses or whatever, and his hands, he's handcuffed. And I'm just like immediately thinking this is not good. Let me explain to you why this is so dangerous. Number one, because the United States does not operate in a vacuum. It operates by global rules. That's number one. You don't get to just make your own rule that the world has to abide by. Number two, and this is extremely important here, if America can decide to just go and kidnap a sitting president that it considers to be criminal or to have been engaged in criminality, then what's to stop any other country from doing the same? So what you run the risk of is having countries copy America, but they're not copying the restraint. Russia's going to call it counterterrorism. China's going to call it anti-corruption. Regional powers are going to call it national security. It just goes on. And America will have no moral ground to point its finger or wag its finger and say, you can't do that, because they're going to say, but you did it first. The second point why this is so dangerous is because it really destroys, annihilates diplomatic immunity. So I have a love-hate relationship with diplomatic immunity, right? But I understand, because I have to put on my thinking cap, that this isn't about just protecting bad people. It's about keeping those lines of communication open with other countries that you may need. If leaders feel like there's a chance that they're going to be arrested or seized if they leave their countries to come and negotiate with you, they're not going to leave their country. So the communication breaks down. We're not leaving our soil. We're not coming over there because we don't know what you're up to. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but America is not beloved by a lot of nations around the world the way it used to be. Just being honest. We have always had our enemies, but we're turning allies into enemies as well. You know, last year, Donald Trump basically went to war. That's the best way I could put it. Went to war with Canada, for example. Canada. One of our closest allies, definitely closest geographical allies, they don't really cause any issues, no problems. And his constant threat, and he's still threatening to annex Canada to make it the 51st state of the United States, that wasn't warmly received, and he kept doing it.
Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. Having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
Same thing with Greenland. And I'm going to talk about that in an upcoming video. You know, threatening to annex Greenland, a sovereign country, because the United States needs it. We need you, so we're just going to take you. That's some colonialist BS right there. That's like colonialism. We need you. We need that, what you have. We're going to take it. You'll just be a part of us. You don't get to do that. Not to sovereign. Can you imagine China just saying, well, we need the United States, so we're just going to take it. Or North Korea saying, we're just going to take it. You don't get to do that. The people have already expressed that they don't have any interest in being a part of the United States, want nothing to do with it in that way. They want to just be an ally, a friend, and leave it there. Okay? So I mentioned that to say we have our enemies, and it's like day by day, we're making allies enemies. I don't care how powerful you are as a nation. I don't care about your military might or your finances. Those things are significant, yes. But when you're in the center of the circle and you find yourself surrounded by enemies and converting allies to enemies, it's only a matter of time before you fall. And I said this in a previous video last year. Wasn't a sexy video, one of those videos that a lot of people want to click on, but you should definitely take a look at it. I'm going to put it up here in a card. You should definitely watch it afterwards, because I talked about how so many countries who were allies of the United States are sort of like backing away because they don't like the way that America is moving. And so a lot of them are now forming alliances with countries who you would have been like, what are you doing? Particularly the Caribbean, forming alliances with China. China is funding a lot of infrastructure. At some point, you know, they're going to want something. And when you see Donald Trump just going into someone's country and taking what he wants, like I said earlier, you know, you as a country might be cheering this on because you don't like Maduro, but you should stop and like just pause for a second, because your country could be next. He's already made threats against Mexico and Cuba. So a lot to consider. And I'm saying this is a lot to consider because this is exactly why so many U.S. allies need to be fearful about what's going on. Because these same rules that protect Venezuela also protect these small NATO countries. They protect these nations that don't always agree with what Washington, D.C. is saying or doing. That's a scary proposition. It's almost like bullying, because what are you going to do when Big Brother steps into the arena? You know, I'm sure there are a lot of countries that aren't saying anything right now because I think they just want to not be on Donald Trump's radar, especially if you're like a small country. You know, you don't have any military might, you don't have any money, you're so reliant on the United States. A lot of them are going to remain quiet, just hope that he doesn't see me to take my lunch money, you know? But that's why that gave me significant pause. And then what's the next step for Venezuela? You know, you strip them of their president, you leave things in chaos and anarchy, then what? So I'm very honestly terrified about what's going to happen next. And a lot of my friends and colleagues are too. We talk about these things. I was on a bridge yesterday and my mind just started wondering about I'm not trying to give anybody any ideas, but I just was like, my mind was just wondering about like what could happen. Because sometimes we start to think that when incidents like these happen, like we look to external threats, and we don't understand that a lot of times the threats can come right in-house. They're right here already. I have South American friends who are like, the cartel's not going to let that go the way you think it's going to go. They're probably going to try and break them out. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. So I'm very curious and a bit apprehensive as to see what's going to happen next. All in all, I thought that Donald Trump erred big time in doing that. And I don't know, I don't have any real proof of it, but it's just a feeling. I feel on some level he knows he messed up big time. But he's full of bravado and bluster, and so he can't let that on. But I applaud and appreciate so many people who are speaking out about this. People who are even Trump supporters who are across social media saying, hell no. And let me be clear once again, I don't care for Maduro. I don't like him. If you listen to and read what Venezuelans have expressed about his time in office, like it gives you tremendous pause. It's like I understand why, so many of them wanted to leave the country or have left the country. So this isn't about him. It's about rules and order and the consequences of breaking those rules. It's about political might and military might that allows you to do things and get away with it. So, just for me to wrap up here, because I don't want this to be too long, but, I want people to really consider the bigger picture. And again, this is not about Nicolas Maduro. I don't want people who lived under his regime to feel like I am in any way dismissing what he has done or what he has allowed and how your families have been affected. That's not what this video is about. This is about a big country, a country that I care about and I love, but I don't support going into somebody's country and stripping them of their president. There's rules to this, and I'm a rule follower. You have to have order. And so celebrations feel good in the moment because it's like, yes, he was taken down, but then what about the aftermath? What happens next? And not just for Venezuela, but for the world. It cannot be where the rules don't exist just because you have more might. I don't like that. And we don't want to operate in a world, we've been here before, where might equals right. We've seen that many times. Anyway, I watched this. It was so shocking for me. And it was so terrifying because my mind just starts wandering and thinking all the horrible scenarios that could ensue. And it's terrifying. And like I said earlier, I have no doubt. It's just a feeling. I don't have any evidence to prove it. Just a feeling that when Donald Trump is in the privacy of his home, and he's sitting down, and he's left the bluster in the negotiating room, I think he's like, oops. And if he hasn't said oops yet, he will. Well, I want to hear from you all, so please drop your comments down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think about what Donald Trump did to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Do you think that he was right to do what he did? Do you think that this is going to create an even worse scenario for the United States? Just share your thoughts down below. I really want to hear from you. And if you are Venezuelan or South American, I'd certainly love to hear from you because I think you all being in the same region, definitely you have an understanding of the culture, what people might be feeling and thinking. So drop your comments down below. Also, I am going to be discussing Donald Trump's desire to annex Greenland in my next episode. So please, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell because I do want to dive into that. We touched on it a little bit in this video, but it's going to be an even deeper dive for the next episode. So thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Drop your comments down below. Follow me on my blog, thisbahamiangal.com. Follow me on Instagram at thisbahamiangal and on TikTok at thisbahamiangaltbg. And I will see you next time. Toodles.